Hi there, Mr. Oddoodle here. I am so glad to be here, and more importantly, that we're here together. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and October 1st just seemed like the perfect date to get started. I'm really happy to finally be here and that you're here with me, of course. So, welcome. This is where mystery stories, true crime stories, missing person stories, and maybe a haunting here or there, as well as just plain good old odd stories, meets the love of doodling for relaxation. I'll be doodling, and I would love it if you would doodle along with me. So I will be using an iPad Pro. It's an older model, along with GoodNotes 5, the GoodNotes 5 app. You can break out your sketchbook, or just good old paper and pen. But even if all you've got is a plain brown paper bag and an old Sharpie next to you, or heck, even your kid's old Magna Doodle. Do they still make those? Well, we'll have some fun together either way. And speaking of kids, if you ever say to yourself along the way, my 5-year-old nephew can draw better than that, you may not be wrong, because I am not an artist. I do not have a degree in fine art or anything of the sort. Let me just get that on record. Art and me, we've never gotten along very well. But I do like to doodle very much, in fact. It just helps me relax and unwind, and I've just always enjoyed it. So this is just for fun. It's all about relaxing and having fun while telling a story. So today's story falls into the category of odd. I'll be calling it an odd doodle, if you don't mind. Just as a warning, there are brief mentions of sexual assault, animal cruelty, and child abuse / neglect. So if that is something that you are very sensitive about, you may want to opt out of this story and check out next time's story. So with that out of the way, we will go ahead and get started by introducing the topic of today's story, who is Amy Carlson. Amy Carlson calls herself many names, but the probably most used one is Mother God. And she does believe that she is the reincarnated form of Jesus. I will go ahead and read from her About Mom page on the Love Has Won website. I'll go ahead and read it because I believe that the font is very tiny for you, probably, since the screen is on this mode here. So, hello, loves. I am Mother God. For quite some time, you have been praying that I come back to help you. Because of that, I decided I had enough of the dark forces kidnapping, I think she means to say, my planet and my children. So here I am in the flesh. I was born on November 30th, 1975 in Kansas, USA. This is my 534th reincarnation in my quest to recover my beloved planet, the center of the universe, and the first planet I created. They tried to assassinate me 589 times in this lifetime, but love has won. I love you. I've done my part under the manipulation of the cabal who used you like cattle. Get a move on, because this planet is ascending and you need to reconnect with Prime Source Creator, me, so that you can ignite your light bodies and protect you again. You are either with me or against me. The experiment of free will has been declared a failure. It is void. Everything exists under divine will once more. Thank God. LOL. Get a move on. So that is Amy Carlson, Mother God, as she calls herself. And the reason that we are talking about her is because she appeared on season 19 of the Dr. Phil show. She was brought on to the Dr. Phil show on, I believe, September 14th and 15th by her mother, Linda, and her 2 sisters. So she has 2 sisters named Chelsea and Tara, and they were very concerned about their daughter and sister and what was going on with her. They told Dr. Phil that it seems that Amy is out of control and has been slipping away from reality ever since she moved to Hawaii to create a cult, and that is their words. Linda, Chelsea, and Tara all claim that Amy had a very normal childhood and that she was a very happy girl and that everything seemed fine up until around the time she became a young adult, because by the time she was in her early 20s, she had already been married 3 times. And Amy came out of each marriage with 1 child. So all in all, she has got 3 children, but she doesn't see any of her children these days, and her family claims it's due to her cult-like behavior. Instead, they, Linda, Chelsea, and Tara, have had to fill in the gaps due to Amy's absence in her children's lives. And Linda claims that Amy was never very maternal with her children at all, even when she was in their lives. So she found that to be very sad, and she wasn't sure why Amy chose, never to be like a maternal person in her own children's lives. Her sister, Chelsea, told Dr. Phil that she believes that Amy is part mentally ill, so she thinks that she's got some sort of undiagnosed mental illness that she is dealing with or grappling with. And she believes that she is partly doing the Love Has Won, or participating in the Love Has Won cult, as they say, to scam people out of money, because the sisters, both Chelsea and Tara, do say that Amy is able to get people to give her money, and she asks her followers to buy her things all of the time. So that is why they think that she does it, to get things out of people. But she also, Chelsea believes part mentally ill, part to take money from people, so scam. And she also says that the other part is she believes her sister is being brainwashed by the other Love Has Won people. So I'm gonna have to plead a little bit of ignorance. I did do some due diligence on this case for you guys, but I wasn't able to find out if Amy actually created Love Has Won or if she just kind of took it over. And judging by, it seems like she created it, but what the sister there said kind of threw me for a loop, and it kind of made it seem like maybe Amy didn't create it. Or maybe Amy is now, maybe Love Has Won, she did create it, but now it's kind of bigger than her, and now she's being taken over by her own creation, if that kind of makes sense. So it was a little tough to tell there. So that is a little bit of what the family has to say. The sisters also claim that she started to neglect her 3 children and really began acting distant after she had her 3rd and final child. They can actually pinpoint her strange behavior to 2006 and say that is when Amy started to really act strange. She started moving around a lot, kind of all over the US. She finally ended up in Hawaii, in Kauai, and I'm so sorry if I butchered the pronunciation of that. I deeply apologize. Finally, the sisters and the mom, they heard that she had ended up in Kauai, and they believed it to be a cult because of the things that they heard that their sister and daughter was doing down there. And from what information I read online, it seemed like the people of Kauai were very upset, kind of understandably, about the cult being down there. They did not want it to be. They wanted the Love Has Won people to leave because they were causing problems down there. So they protested, and the police were involved, and finally they had to leave. And Love Has Won they relocated to the beautiful state of Colorado, and which is where they are now, and they live on a ranch. It's a lovely ranch setting, which we will get into a little bit later. So now let's just dive into the actual group called Love Has Won. So on the show, Amy did not appear by herself in this lovely JoJo Siwa-esque bow. No, she was not alone. She had 2 faithful supporters named Hope and Aurora. They were by her side to completely back her up and just be like her rah-rah cheerleaders, their ride or die Amy supporters. They were on another screen. So of course, if I didn't mention it before, this is all obviously Dr. Phil COVID, COVID, modifications. So he's got, Skype screens, and the whole audience is on a huge split screen from their homes. So it's kind of an interesting little setup that he's got going on, but it seems to work. So, anyhow, this is how he's got his little guests going on. So here's Hope and Aurora. They are followers of Mother God, as you can see below. And they both call Amy Mom, which is short for Mother God. And they believe that she is truly the reincarnated form of Jesus. And Amy tells her followers, as well as anyone who will believe her, or I guess just listen, that she actually remembers hanging on the cross, which is pretty hard to hear if you're a Christian, I guess. It's a little kind of a hard thing to hear, but anyway, that's what she says. And she also says that she's lived 534 lifetimes, and she was called to a mission in 2006, which really matches up to the timeline that her family talked about earlier when they said that things started to really get strange for Amy. Amy also says that she performs spiritual surgeries on people. And this is kind of like brain surgery, where she goes into people's brains who need help. They need, spiritual healing, and she's able to provide that for them. I don't know if she didn't really mention that she had any training or anything. She just, obviously if she is God, right, that she claims to be, she knows how to do this surgery. She doesn't actually have to cut into them. She can just do it spiritually. So she says she's done this many, many times, and it's called, I'm probably not going to say it right, so I'm going to write it here for you. It is called etheric surgery. Etheric surgery. So that is what Amy can do for people. She's able to perform that. And not just herself, but now I guess she can teach her followers, or her maybe like just her best followers, or her most loyal followers, how to perform this as well. So it's not just her doing it anymore. So she claimed to perform over 100,000 of these etheric surgeries. But Dr. Phil did ask her, does performing these surgeries, is that something that is, tasking for you? And does that take a lot out of you? Because, like a regular surgeon, they get very tired, and, it takes a lot out of them. And she said, yeah, it does. And actually, she is so drained from having to do all of these surgeries that she does for people that now she is wheelchair bound and she is paralyzed. So that's what she told Dr. Phil, that she is paralyzed and she has to use a wheelchair. But, she does it, because it's her mission or something. That's kind of what she said. Dr. Phil called Amy out at some point because her math just didn't make sense. She was throwing out a bunch of numbers and saying she's been alive for, this many years and so. And Dr. Phil, if you know him, he's pretty good at calling people out. And she said that she's been alive thousands of years before Jesus or something like that. And when he called her out, she just kind of giggled. So I think that gave Dr. Phil the confidence that he needed to know that, he could, pretty much go ahead and go up against her. Not that I think he didn't have the confidence, but anyway. So another claim of Amy's that people probably take issue with is that she claims that the late actor Robin Williams came in, unquote, to her when he passed in 2014, and that he is with her now, and he guides her and talks. So, he doesn't guide her, but he is a guide for her. I'm assuming there might be a difference. And he talks to her. So the way she said it, I'm assuming if that was my family member, I would have a big issue with that, because the way she made it seem was, that he's kind of like hers now. So I'm assuming that his family would just have a huge issue with that, and hopefully they weren't listening, because it would probably be very offensive to them. And but also, I'm sure maybe they would just realize that this person is, probably not very well, maybe. And in any case, Robin Williams is not the only celebrity that she claims to have a connection with. Along with Jesus, she also claims to be the reincarnation of Marilyn Monroe, Joan of Arc, and Cleopatra, among others. And she also claims to have been killed several times. One thing that Dr. Phil especially did not appreciate that Amy did is that she calls her followers, her own followers, the own people who, I'm not going to say they give up their lives, but they, spend time with her and claim to, well, they don't claim to, but they, well, when you follow someone, you kind of do give up a lot. So these are people that follow her instead of, any other sort of religion. And she calls them terrible, awful names. Like Dr. Phil said, I think every name in the book. And if you would like an example, she loves to call them whores. She calls them spiritual ego whores, or just whores in general. She loves to say, you effing whores. And she does this if they aren't believing in her enough, or if, she just feels like they aren't believing in her enough. She'll go ahead and make a rant video, where she just goes off and just calls them these horrible, awful names. Sadly, she also chooses to call her followers the slur for mentally challenged people that starts with an R. So that's very disappointing that she would do that. And she does this on the daily live stream videos, I believe, that the channel uploads, or just regular videos that she uploads. When Dr. Phil called her out for this, her reasoning was that in the past she has been sexually assaulted, stolen from, and they, quote, they burned her house down. So in her words, quote, you get a little weary, unquote. And she said that she was upset at the time when she made the video. But the problem with that is that she's made several videos where she calls people these names, and so she apparently does this all the time. So, are you going to say that you're upset all the time? So it just really doesn't, the excuse just, I don't know. So Dr. Phil brought a guest onto the show, and his name is Rick Alan Ross, and he is the CEO of the Cult Education Institute. I mean, who knew there was such a thing as the Cult Education Institute? Leave it to Dr. Phil to find it, right? And he said, Dr. Phil told Rick Alan Ross that in his opinion, Amy's rants, such as calling people these just awful, horrendous names, and also telling her followers things like, people that don't believe in me are killing me slowly, because that's something that she'll often tell her followers to worry them, and to also, make sure that they believe in her. People that don't believe in me are killing me slowly, which really reminds me of Tinkerbell. Isn't that what Tinkerbell said? I wonder if that's where she got it from. Anyway, Dr. Phil said that that behavior is 101 for grandiose, narcissistic, pathological leaders, and he called her behavior, quote, destructive, unquote. Rick Alan Ross agreed completely with Dr. Phil, and he added that Amy had created a we-they mentality with Love Has Won, meaning that Amy had set up a situation where Amy and the group are the only ones who are right, and everyone else, including their family and just everyone else, is wrong. And anyone who doesn't believe is stigmatized. And if you disagree with Amy, then you're wrong, and you could be in danger of being outcast, the outcast of the group, which, you'd be terrified of being at that point. And Amy is the only one who is never critiqued in the whole group. But everyone else is, in danger of being critiqued. So it's just a very unfair setup that she's got going on, which totally works to her advantage, of course. And surprising no one at all, of course, Amy just completely disagreed with both these gentlemen, Rick, Alan, Ross, and Dr. Phil. She said that she never tells anyone to surrender to her, of course, and she only ever tells people just to surrender to themselves and to love. So she doesn't know what they're talking about. But, Dr. Phil being Dr. Phil, he did not let her get away with that at all. He said that wasn't what she was saying earlier. He said, you said you're God. And then Miss Amy started to get rather uncomfortable in her, on her Skype screen, it seemed. She started to circle talk and say interesting things. She said, in truth, we are all God, which is mighty interesting because that's not what she was saying earlier. So it seemed like she was really shifting her story there. Well, Rick Ross took this opportunity to really just go in for the kill there with Amy. And he said that her live streams really make it clear that Amy is trying to create dependency with her followers by telling her that she's not, or telling, her followers that she is not going to be around forever, but that they need her because, the world is like such a scary place, and, what are they going to do without her? So he said this is really just such a, I don't want to speak for him, and I forgot the words that he used, but just to paraphrase, just a sneaky thing that she's doing pretty much to create dependency, by telling them that she's not going to be around because, she's got this, I think she tells them that she's got diseases or something, or she may have said that in the past, and they need her, and the world is so frightening, and how could they live without her? So they're just they should all be just trembling with fear, to worried, what would they ever do without Amy? And that's pretty much how a cult works, complete dependency. But Amy completely denied this, of course. And here, if you're wondering what in the world I am doing, I am attempting to draw a yellow hyacinth. It is not going the greatest, but the yellow hyacinth is the state flower for Hawaii. And I thought I would pay a little bit of respect to Hawaii, which is where Love Has Won set up shop there for a little bit. And not to honor Love Has Won, but just because Hawaii is a beautiful state, and maybe just to say hello if there are any people from this lovely state watching. And because we're talking about Hawaii, so why not? So hopefully this hyacinth, I can redeem it just a little bit. Back to the story. So getting back to Hope and Aurora a little bit, they've been watching this entire time. Now they have just been biting their tongues, just itching to talk and defend, their quote unquote mom. And finally they get their chance. Whoops. When Dr. Phil gives them the floor, or the screen, I should say, and tells them, okay, now's your chance. You can say whatever you want to say. So they tell Dr. Phil that they have been at the Colorado Ranch. Hope has been there for 3 years, I believe, and Aurora has been there for 2.5 years, or I might have that backwards. Forgive me if I'm wrong there. And both women tell Dr. Phil that they are college graduates, and they so humbly also tell him that they are the most intelligent people in their families. And they say this all to prove to Dr. Phil that Love Has Won is full of just normal, rational thinking people, right? Because that's, what they want to portray to him. But, just look at these like normal, rational smiles. Looks totally normal, right? And both women say that they were in a very highly dysfunctional place when they met Mom and they came to Love Has Won. And they really credit Amy with bringing them back to normalcy and giving them their lives back. And I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I'm pretty much just paraphrasing what they said. So they pretty much just credit her with turning their lives around, pretty much, I guess you could say. I don't know much about drawing hibiscus flowers. Did I call this a hyacinth earlier? I have a feeling I did. I'm sorry if I did. I don't know much about drawing hibiscus flowers, but I do know they have to be darker in the center. So I'm trying to redeem this little guy. Okay, so let's see. So Hope and Aurora, I believe it is Hope here, who says about Amy, she is the way. It's really hard to tell which one of these ladies is into it more. I think they are both the same amount of, both in it just as much. Hope and Aurora both claim that Amy, in fact, has the documents to prove that she is Jesus, if you can believe it. But no such documents are actually offered to the Dr. Phil show or staff. And if you've ever watched an episode of the Dr. Phil show where when it comes to like something about like doctor's visits, or I'm trying to draw leaves here, but can't remember how to draw leaves all of a sudden. When it comes to, oh gosh, I'm just trying to think, like court documents, or, I don't watch the show all the time. Oh my goodness. If you watch the show, you probably know what I'm talking about. Well, Dr. Phil is very good about really pressing people, when it comes to documents. He'll say things like, my staff reached out to you and, you didn't supply us with the documents. And in this case, he just did not even seem to care about these supposed documents, which we all know don't exist, that prove that Amy is the reincarnated form of Jesus. And I believe that's because he is just so over it at this point. And he just is like, whatever, you guys are, and I'm done with this. So, let's see here. It's kind of funny because, in any normal case, he would go at them, but you can just really tell on his face he's just really done. Let me see if I got a picture here of Dr. Phil and his done face. I mean, he kind of always looks like this, but he's just really over it. They also tell Dr. Phil, Hope and Aurora do, that they can leave anytime they want to because they are trying to dispel rumors that Love Has Won keeps followers there against their will. They say that is not true, and that's just not the case. Love Has Won is not the kind of place that would keep someone there against their will. And I forgot which one says it. I believe it's Aurora who says that if she wanted to leave, she knows that Mom would send her off with love. And that's her actual wording. Then the girls go on to say that they know of people who have wanted to leave in the past, and Mom has let them go on their way. So they said, quote, Mom has let them go on their way, end quote, which is very generous of Amy, to like not hold someone hostage. I mean, I don't know why they would say that way. That doesn't sound very good. I mean, I know what they were trying to do, but it just sounds weird. Then they complain that people go on their live stream daily and harass. They said, quote, they come on our live stream daily and harass us with lies. And what they're talking about are the haters that Amy calls jealous. And what I believe they're talking about are the former members or the former members' family and friends who are upset about the cult taking advantage of people. So when asked about Amy's 3 kids that are left motherless, Hope and Aurora say Mom didn't want to leave her kids, but she did it for us. So that's really all that they have to say on that. It's kind of clear that, maybe they were told not to, maybe they were coached, or maybe just told, here's what you say. Don't say anything else. They really didn't want to go into detail about Amy's kids. Okay, so here is the part about the animal abuse and child abuse. So if you want to just skip this part, I will understand, and I'll be very quick and brief as I can. So there are claims about Amy abusing a cat. She claims that it is her own cat. There's a video that was very not so smartly uploaded by the Love Has Won people, and this video shows Amy sitting down, and she is holding a gray or dark colored cat up, like above her head, or like just sort of like above her, and she's shaking it. And it's really hard to tell by the video, like how hard the cat is being shaken. But, obviously it doesn't matter how hard. You should not shake an animal ever at all. Animals, and especially cats, do not like to be shook. That's not a nice or appropriate thing to do to an animal. That is abuse. And when Dr. Phil asks her about this, she says she does admit that she was, quote, reprimanding her cat, unquote. Now, why you would cats are not the kind of animal that, you really shouldn't be reprimanding animals because, like, they just don't get that. But, you don't like reprimand cats. Cats don't work that way. If you have cats, you know, you don't like spank them or not that you should be spanking anybody, but you know what I mean. It just doesn't work that way. You shake a cat, it's not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do that thing that I just did that you don't like. No, the cat's just going to hate you and not trust you from now on. But Amy she didn't get that from Dr. Phil. The message was not received, so we'll leave it at that. And then there's also claims of child abuse, because now this is something that Hope and Aurora were involved with, because they know the person involved. So it's not clear if this child had lived at the Colorado property or if the parent was even a follower. But Hope and Aurora told Dr. Phil that a parent had brought their child to see Amy because the child was having behavioral issues, or at least the parent claimed that, and the parent wanted to see if Amy could help. And Amy's very wise idea was to lock the child in a closet, a dark closet, I believe. And it's not stated like how long the child was left in the closet, but I mean, it doesn't matter how long the child was left in there, just to be, tossed into a dark closet and, to be made to think you're going to be left there. That alone is just terrifying. So it really doesn't matter. It does, especially if the child was left there for days, but I don't think that was the case. But my point is just being left there alone for any period of time, that's horrible. And Amy didn't respond to that herself, I don't believe. That was her little besties jumped all over that. And they told Dr. Phil, in the 50s, spanking and all that was okay. And Dr. Phil said, no, it wasn't. And so they had a little battle over that, Hope and Aurora versus Dr. Phil. So then we heard from a woman named Ariane and a woman named Amanda. And Ariane and Amanda, they're brother and husband. So Ariane's husband and Amanda's brother, same person. He was a former member of Love Has Won. And he had some kind of spiritual need, some kind of desire to go and join this group. He was looking for something and he found their online group, I believe, and he talked to his wife and he told her, this is something that I need, and I believe she supported him, and his family was well aware of what he wanted to do, and that he was going to go do this Love Has Won thing. So they were aware of it. I don't think they were like excited about it, but they knew of it. So he goes, and I believe he was going to be gone for maybe a month or maybe a couple of months, but he lasted 2 days, and here is why. So he was supposed to check in after, I believe, the first day or maybe the second day. And when his family didn't hear back from him, they became extremely worried. His mother, his sister Amanda, and his wife Ariane. And so they called the Colorado police, and the police ended up doing a wellness check. And I'm a little confused on this part. So let me go forward and then I'll back up just a little bit. So the police ended up finding the man And he was naked, confused, disoriented, and wandering on private property. So he was arrested. Okay, so he was arrested. And then when they kind of got the story straight, they found out that he was the man that that the police were supposed to do a wellness check on, I believe. So what had happened was he was trespassing on this mountain. So on the Colorado property, I'm sorry, this is confusing. On the Colorado property, they have access to a big mountain, but they only have access to part of it. And then an adjacent property has access to another part of the property. And immediately when the man arrived to Love Has Won, to the property, he says that he was put to work just like right away, and like manual labor tasks involving the mountain in some regard. And he says that he was told also right away that he had really bad energy, and that that because of his bad energy, they left him on the wrong side of the mountain. So they were like, you have this bad energy. We don't want you over on our side of the mountain. So they left him on the wrong side of the mountain, where he was not supposed to be, where he was trespassing. He believes that he was drugged with hallucinogenic drugs because of how he felt, because I'm assuming like he's never felt that way before. And now he actually was not on the Dr. Phil show. Just his sister and wife were on the show. And I believe this is because Dr. Phil mentioned something about him still recovering from his ordeal, like not just mentally, but physically, because he was abandoned on this mountain. So it was a pretty traumatic experience for him. And so he alleges that he was drugged. Amy, the whole Love Has Won, Hope, Aurora deny this completely. But Amanda actually calls out Hope and Aurora, and she says that their real names are Ashley and Lauren. So she says Hope's real name is Ashley and Aurora's real name is Lauren. And Amanda says that they are not being forthcoming. That's the word that she used. And this is the look on Hope, aka Ashley's face, when Amanda said that. She gave this little smirk here. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess anyone would feel defensive, but I just think that's kind of telling. Oops. Okay. So they used fake names, obviously, or allegedly, according to Amanda. And I'm not sure why you would want to use fake names. Obviously, if I was ever going to be on the Dr. Phil show, you can bet I would use a fake name in a heartbeat. But I would also never be on the Dr. Phil show. But why would they use fake names? Because if you're doing daily live streams, showing your face, using your name, you would think, now you're going on the Dr. Phil show where you're getting a huge audience. You would definitely want to use your real name. So that's kind of interesting to me. And she did not elaborate, Amanda, on what they were not being forthcoming about. So that was a little interesting there. And now we're going to be talking about the last last character in the story, and her name is also Ashley, just happens to be Ashley, not the same Ashley as AKA Hope, allegedly. This is a former member who, according to herself, just like the man who is married to Ariane and the brother of Amanda, she was looking for something. She was looking for like a spiritual connection or guidance or something, and she found Love Has Won online on their online Facebook group, and it just sounded really good to her. So she arrived at a beautiful Colorado ranch, and she just, couldn't believe it. Like, one minute she's looking at this online Facebook group and everything seems great, and the next minute she's here at a ranch. So it was kind of just like happened sort of fast, and it was just seemed perfect. But something alarming did happen to Ashley while she was there, and that was that a member of Love Has Won was sent home or was sent away. And this confused her because the way she said it, it was kind of like this person was kicked out. And so that didn't make her feel good. It kind of gave her bad feelings, bad vibes. It confused her, made her feel bad. Like, what have I just signed up for? And she did tell Dr. Phil that while she was there, she did believe that Amy was truly God for a time being. I don't know if she believed that, the entire time that she was there, or maybe, just for a short while. But she did at one point believe that. Amy was told by Love Has Won staff that she, quote, embodied lower energies and needed to transform them. She was made to stay awake until at least midnight and had to wake up at 5 a.m. no matter what. Followers were never allowed to sit and had to be in constant motion, because if you were still, you took away energy from Mother God, which really doesn't make sense, because if you're still, wouldn't that be like you're giving up your energy to Mother God? But anyway, none of this makes sense to me. Ashley said she could not see Amy for the first 2 weeks and was told that she would need to reach a higher level of energy before she would be permitted to see Amy. So after about 2 months of mental manipulation and sleep deprivation, Ashley finally reached her breaking point when she realized that the staff was pitting followers against each other. She finally did see Amy, though, and she told Dr. Phil that when she did, she was really surprised because Amy just seemed so sickly. She was sitting on her bed. She just stayed in bed the entire time, and she had to be helped from her bedroom to her bed to her bathroom and back. And so she kind of wasn't what she expected. She also was privy, or I don't know if she was privy or not, or she just happened to be at the right place at the right time, but she did see checks in the amount of $100,000 and $400,000. And that's when she realized this was a scam and they were scamming people. And she really did not feel good about that, of course. And so she just knew, they're pitting us against each other, and she said she didn't feel safe. And she just knew that this wasn't right for her. And she just had to go. So she felt so strongly that she needed to leave immediately that she left all of her personal items behind, and she just left with the clothes on her back, basically. Jumped on a plane and was out of there. Nearing the end of the episode, Amy's mother, Linda, cried, and she begged Amy to come home and to stop taking advantage of these people. Linda seemed really remorseful for all of the things that had happened to the followers of Love Has Won. And Amy just sat there motionless, didn't really say anything, or emotionless, I should say. And her sister Chelsea told Amy that she missed her, but she said that any love that she had for Amy now was being poured into Amy's 3 children, who she called her world, Chelsea's world. And she said that Amy, that her children were everything to her now, to Chelsea now. Amy just, again, sat there emotionless, didn't do anything, didn't cry, didn't, just kind of had a blank stare, and a smile. She tried not to seem affected at all by her family's words, or maybe she really wasn't affected. Who knows? It's really hard to say. She also wasn't affected at all or moved by the words of the former members, except to just deny everything, which is just so sad. Because, they're out here, the man wasn't, but, his wife and sister were, and then Ashley, so brave to come forward, and, she's just, invalidating all of their claims, and it's just so sad. Also, just to watch her mother cry, that was pretty sad too. But that's Amy's side of the story. So there you have it. If you would like more information on this particular topic of Amy Carlson and Love Has Won, there is certainly a plethora of resources out there for you. There is a website called lovehaswonexposed.com, and there is also a Reddit group for former members that seems, I just briefly glanced at it, but it seems pretty jam-packed with information. And there's just oodles and oodles of articles to explore if you are interested in reading more on this topic, which is very interesting and strange and bizarre. I am going to dash off for now, but I hope that we'll be together soon enough in another video. I hope that you enjoyed this strange little doodling session and odd tale. And until then, keep doodling and dreaming big. I'm sending you happy thoughts and warm wishes.